I was with my boy Scott on my way to my job one day, but before the clock in, I did some digging, and eventually ran into someone I did not expect. But they were there, right before my eyes. So, naturally, I made a long shot in the dark. I reached out to someone in hopes they could give me insight to help me further my investigation. It would be a lie to say I wasn't doubtful, because it's been 20 years since the first Bloody Roar was made. What person in their right mind is going to talk to me about their experience in a video game series that's been dormant for 2 decades, let alone speak English? The thoughts clouded my mind, but they were only brief, because just 2 days later, I actually got a response. For a while, I wondered what it would be like if I ever spoke to someone that actually had experience working on the Bloody Roar games. The person I mainly want to speak to is Fukuya-san/Kenji Fukuya, the director of the Bloody Roar games, but it is incredibly hard to find anything else about him outside of his credits for the Bloody Roar games. This won't be the last time I make mention of him though. There is a step to every process, and thanks to my curiosity, optimism, and persistence, I had the chance to ask some questions to someone who was actually involved in the development of Bloody Roar and its sequel, Bloody Roar 2. Keep in mind that this individual has requested to remain anonymous, so I will not disclose any information about them. Also, since Bloody Roars 1 and 2 were made over 20 years ago, some things just won't be remembered. I don't know what direction this is going to head in, and admittedly, I am both hopeful yet fearful at the same time. But regardless, I am grateful for this opportunity. So let's begin. During development, was this a title that you felt had the potential to be the next big fighting game at the time?
At that time, there were already 2 very popular fighting games out there, Virtua Fighter and Tekken. Bloody Roar was created by Raising, a company of about 20 people. We felt it was a challenge to take on big companies like Sega and Namco. By the way, at the time, Raising and Aiding were located in the same building, but were considered separate companies. Raising was in charge of game development, while Aiding was in charge of sales, accounting, and other non-development activities. The 2 companies later merged.
Seeing as you have a lot of experience in the 3D animation field, is there a specific character or characters you wish you could have animated differently, or are you satisfied with the final product?
I am satisfied with this game. I think the game is very exhilarating. We sacrificed graphics and stuck to 60 FPS.
If you can recall, what was the energy like while developing Bloody Roar at Aiding amongst your peers?
This game was the first 3D game we created at Raising. It was a challenge for the whole team.
This plushie from this Bloody Roar ad, was this ever sold or only for this ad?
This is probably the first time I have seen this plushie.
Was Yuriko, the final boss, planned to be playable legitimately at one point?
I don't remember. Sorry.
Your favorite stage or stages from Bloody Roar?
Beach stage and boss stage.
Do you prefer the arcade soundtrack or console soundtrack of Bloody Roar 1?
I prefer the arcade soundtrack. Manabu Namiki, Raising's resident sound artist at the time, was a good colleague, and you know, there is more variety in the arcade version.
Was Bloody Roar 2 inevitable? In other words, always planned?
I'm not sure, but we knew that if we created BR2, we could use our previous assets, mainly some systems and character animations. And we had already gained experience making fighting games. Using past assets and experience is common in the video game industry.
As far as presentation goes, Bloody Roar 2 was overall a huge step up from the first game. One of the aspects of that being the character models, as they saw a pretty significant jump in poly count. Were the character models difficult or easy to work with, or was it character dependent?
The way of creating character models is very different from now and in BR1 or BR2. At that time, modeling was basically easier if you could use a larger number of polygons.
During Bloody Roar 2's development, did the energy with the team feel different or just as, if not more exciting?
We always gave it our all.
Do you know what the unused tracks in Bloody Roar 2 were going to be used for? Tracks 16 through 18 and Return of the Wild specifically.
I may have known, but I forgot.
My friends Casey Mongelo and Kira Buckland, alongside other voiceover artists, made a full English redub of Bloody Roar 2. Were you aware of this project?
This is my first time hearing it.
Do you prefer the console or arcade soundtrack of Bloody Roar 2?
Of course, I prefer the arcade soundtrack.
Are there any Bloody Roar 1 and or 2 animations you can share that have never been seen before?
Sorry, nothing.
Command lists. Do you know if they were ever intended to be in the Bloody Roar games? If so, why were they omitted? Were the characters' attacks too extensive?
I might have known, but I forgot.
Were you aware of Konami renewing the Bloody Roar trademark in 2020?
I didn't know about it.
Seeing as aiding is still around, if you had the opportunity to be behind a new Bloody Roar game, would you be willing to?
It depends.
Do you recall Fukuya-san ever expressing interest in revitalizing the Bloody Roar series at any point in time? Of course, in the context of after Bloody Roar 4.
Sorry, I don't know.
Apparently, there was something planned in early 2011 to late 2012 according to the former Hudson Soft Entertainment brand manager Morgan Haro on a blog post, but that's all we really got. Do you know if Kenji Fukuya / Fukuya-san is alive and well?
Sorry, I don't know.
Unfortunately, from this point onward, I couldn't get any leads on Fukuya-san or Tetsuo Zaki, though there is pure speculation on our side that it is possible that Kenji Fukuya could be at Aiding's development studio in Hokkaido since it was established in November of 2010, and according to the former Hudson Soft brand manager Morgan Haro, something was supposed to happen in 2011 or 2012, but we can't prove that Kenji is currently there, given his absence from the industry. Regardless, I'm incredibly grateful for this person to take their time to answer my questions, on and off the record. In a weird poetic way, this is somewhat reassuring to me that Bloody Roar as a series still manages to maintain its ambiguity. For now though, I'm going to close this investigation. This is the end, but I'm not empty-handed. While I didn't get as far as I hoped, there were some valuable responses that I appreciate, and I'm just glad there's someone out there who was involved in the series' development that acknowledges not only my work, but the love the series still gets from its fans 20 years later. Hopefully, just maybe, this will trigger someone to come out and shed more light on the franchise, because you never know who's watching, and there are still unanswered questions that I have. Maybe something new will happen, but until then, this is the best I can do.
When heavens divide, I will see the choices within my hand.